one of the main three emergency services around the world is firefighting. People think firefighting is sitting with the hose outside of a house spraying water at it. There's more to it than that. It's not like the movies, whatever you see on TV. Being around the fire service for 2 years as a volunteer in Senatobia Fire Department, I've seen what goes on, and I've also even researched more about it. I'm going to share information I researched about the fire service. I'm going to tell you about the history of the fire service, communication, the command structure, and also about firefighting around the world today. The history of the fire service. Tim Lambert from localstories.org says, the first fire brigade was formed a long time ago in Rome. They used buckets of water, axes, and long hooks to pull down buildings. That's not like today's tools where we have, cutters, spreaders, and pipe poles and all that stuff. Jenny Cohen from www.history.com says Benjamin Franklin founded the first volunteer fire department in the United States in 1736 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. The first career fire department in the United States was founded in 1853 in Cincinnati, Ohio. The second one was founded in St. Louis, Missouri, 4 years later. The earlier history of the fire department, you had to buy insurance. You had to make sure your house and building was covered. They had fire marks outside of it. And if you didn't have a fire mark when they pulled up, they weren't going to put it out because they knew they weren't going to get paid. So why put it out? Also in the 19th century, firefighting, they were not only fighting, fires, they were fighting each other. They had rivals against each other. They had gangs in New York, a movie about it. Moving on to communication and command structure of the fire department. According to Mark Fisk, FireRescue.com, communication to the fire service is a lifeline for firefighters working on the fire ground. Communication is always identified as a big area for improvement in the fire service. Firefighters use radios to communicate not only when inside the buildings when they're burning, but also away from the scene at the stations. Communication breakdown on fire ground leads to firefighters getting hurt. It also leads to freelancing. Freelancing is when you're where you're not supposed to be doing what you're not supposed to be doing on a fire ground. That is a no-no on the fire ground. Communication command structures include the ranks of firefighter training, firefighter, lieutenant, captain, and chief. Those ranks also differ depending on where you were at. Like if you were to go to Memphis Fire Department, for Senatobia Fire Department, you would have marshals and you would have other ranks. You would have a lot more. Firefighting around the world. Jim Crawford from FireRescueMagazine.com says countries that have devoted to integrated risk management have seen fire deaths go down at 40% compared to the United States. These countries included in this integrated risk management system are New Zealand and the United Kingdom. Maria Land from FrontlineWildfire.com says wildfires occur on every continent except Antarctica. 34% of all wildfires occur in Africa. China lacks the basic resource for fighting wildfires. Australia's fires are linked with drought and higher temperatures. All European firefighters receive basic and advanced training within the fire department with fire extinguishing. Now it's time to draw things up to a close. Today, I spoke to you about the fire service. I talked to you about the history of the fire service and where they came from, all the career fire departments and the volunteer fire departments when they were founded. I've talked to you about the communication, how they communicate with radios. They can use them to communicate across the states and also in the buildings and away from stations and stuff like that. And I've also talked about the command structure, the ranks, from firefighter training all the way up to chief. And I've also talked about the firefighting around the world in different countries